I don't like these movies.
Get real.
Dude, I saw that movie 20 goddamn times!
Just consume product. I watch my movies. Movies are the best part.
Having so much fun, man. Really?
No, this movie's too complicated.
So once again, no smoking in this theater.
And I'm shutting your butt down.
Hello, and welcome back to Idle Film Club, your Brain Rock Girlfriend's favourite film podcast. I'm Callum in glorious Technicolor.
Yeah, and I'm Gio. This is our first attempt at doing some video content.
If this doesn't pan out, we will re-record the intro for the audio version, but fingers crossed it does work out. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Off the back of watching 10 films in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
All by a little-known man called Quentin Tarantino.
So what's going on here? What's going on here? Put that down. What's going on here? What are you doing? What are you doing? Do you not talk to me?
Just for the. What are you doing?
Probably the most watched movies from a director, or probably the most filmy movies.
I would say so. He is up there with... You ask most people on the street, and most of them have seen at least one Tarantino movie.
And that one is probably
Pulp Fiction. Exactly.
So this week, what we're going to do is we are going to do a little ranking of the 10 films.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, we are splitting Kill Bill into Volume 1 and 2, despite the fact that Tarantino doesn't.
Yeah, we will give our sort of where we would put it if it was one combined film. But
for the sake of the ranking,
yes,
we're splitting into two, and we're not. These are only directing and writing Tarantino, so we're not doing Forums. We're not doing True Romance. We're not doing Sin City. These are just the features.
Yeah.
And it's a wide array of movies.
Yeah, there's a lot to... I mean, we've seen all of these movies before.
Yeah.
Some of them I've watched considerably more than others. Some of them I've seen literally once, so it's nice to sort of go back and revisit them and
definitely
sort of reevaluate how our opinions have changed and everything like that. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I will say that.
They're great movies to watch. He gets a bad rap, I guess, because everyone likes them.
Yeah, and I think when something is very popular, it's easy to sort of be cynical and, you know, put a dampener on it just because people like them, but there is a reason why people like them, and it is because they are very good.
Yeah, and also we watch a lot of films, and sometimes it's just nice to go and watch a competently made, fun movie.
100%.
With witty dialogue, great casts.
One critic said recently, there is something for everyone to hate in this film. There's something to make everybody mad.
What is it you like about a Tarantino movie? What do you think makes a good Quentin Tarantino movie?
So going into this, I did ask you to sort of figure out what it was that you liked. So my first point, the soundtrack. I think he is excellent at choosing music, at sampling music. Just about everything to do with music, really, I think is so competently done, and yeah, unforgettable songs.
That was number one on my point as well, the soundtrack.
I think it goes without saying that that's going to be pretty high on everyone's list.
Yeah, he sort of, I don't want to say revolutionised, but definitely was a big deal in incorporating old school pop and, you know, 60s pop music into film, and also blending it in with the dialogue. Like Pulp Fiction, I think, is one of the best-selling film soundtracks of all time.
Yeah, I have such a distinct memory. Every time I watch Pulp Fiction, I remember as a kid my dad having it sort of on, and we would, everyone be cool, it's a robbery. I heard that 100 times, but then it'd always be because, you know, at 5 years old.
What, over the swear word?
Yeah. And there's a lot of them, but I'll talk about it with some of the sort of ranking picks, but yeah, a soundtrack, I think.
Yeah.
What was your next point?
Long stretches of engaging dialogue. I think they're patient movies, and I just love, like, the first 20 minutes of Inglourious Basterds. We'll go into obviously deeper, but just an example where it's just dialogue. And
Yeah.
the dialogue is so engaging that it's so good. It just flies by. And I think the Tarantino I don't like or like less
Doesn't have that.
doesn't have that long stretches of
See, I
just
put
patient dialogue.
quippy dialogue.
Yeah.
So I think he is incredibly good at writing mannered, patient, and realistic dialogue. But I do like my Tarantino to be a bit funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so. I think sometimes he pushes it too far.
I
but-
agree, but I do really like a bit of quippiness and a bit of git humor is how I
Yeah.
like to describe it, because I mean Tarantino is a git,
Yeah.
but I love him.
What is your next point?
So my next point, what I like about a Tarantino movie is legacy B movie / up and coming actors.
See, I've got veteran actors / familiar faces.
Yep. So I also think it's important to note that quite a lot of those people are sort of, although he does like his legacy actors, there are quite a lot of, like Tim Roth. You
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about Tim Roth, he was so young in Reservoir Dogs, and he's gone on to, you know,
Yeah, pairing these young actors with these veterans is always
crazy.
It's just great.
And very, very rarely does it not pay off, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
It's as with everything that he does, most of the time it works.
Yeah.
And that, for me, probably sits around 80% of the time, I think. And I just said after that, he has a real dedication to talented performers. So obviously
100%.
you'll see a lot of the same faces crop up again and again. And for the most part, there's a reason why.
Yeah, Sam Jackson is
Amazing.
such a, again, what makes a good Quentin Tarantino film? I think a lot of the time it's Samuel Jackson.
Why is you lying to me? Then why is you crying?
You scaring me
Why is I'm scaring you?
because you scared.
Because I said to you the other day when we were watching, I can't remember which one, but I said,
Django, I think.
Django. I said, is Samuel L. Jackson a good actor? Because I feel like he gets memed, and I think he did a run of 2000s shit movies.
Yeah, when he was trying to be an action star.
Where he was just playing the guy who shouts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably Quentin Tarantino's fault.
Yeah.
So but in every movie that I've seen him in that on our rewatch, he has been fantastic.
He is so good.
So good.
My final point I have is fun violence.
Yep. So I said, do you know what? I didn't even put that down here. Violence is so much fun.
Yeah.
'Cause I love it. I love a violent film. For me, if a movie's not got sex or violence in it, why the fuck am I watching it? That's my preference. I love violence, and I love.
But I do love I like the extreme where it's otherworldly and tongue-in-cheek. I don't particularly like the more visceral stuff.
Yeah, and you will find that with my lower picks on here. I don't like mean-spirited Tarantino, and I wouldn't say his work is mean-spirited. However, I like the jovial violence. I don't like the more hard-hitting, visceral.
No, but I mean, you shot Marvin in the face.
Marvin, what do you make of all this?
Man, I don't even have an opinion.
Well, you gotta have an opinion. I mean, do you think that God came down from heaven and stopped?
Oh, what the fuck's happening? Oh, man, man.
Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Why the fuck you do that?
And like Kill Bill,
Yeah.
that movie is so violent.
Yeah.
So violent, in fact, that they had to shoot a scene entirely in black and white because they literally would not be allowed to put it to screen.
So funny.
My next point just says feet.
What, you think that makes a good Quentin Tarantino movie?
It doesn't make a good Quentin Tarantino movie, but it is a hallmark of a Tarantino movie. It's creepy.
I don't like it.
And it's like, yeah, okay, just because you're into this, like, I'm not. But I do it for me.
I hate the horrible open secretness about it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think it's creepy and I think it's exploitative. But it
is a trademark.
It is a trademark. And some movies, I will say, I find it a lot more egregious and gross than others.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's never any male feet, which is just like,
Of course not. My man's straight.
yeah, but like, fair enough. But I also just think like, okay, I don't really want to see a 12-minute long shot of someone's feet, but if that's what you're into, whatever. I don't necessarily like it, but it is, for me, it's a trademark. I said the visuals, so shot on film.
Without saying, yeah.
Yeah, he's a great editor as well.
Oh, I can't remember what's the name of his editor. He doesn't edit his movies.
No.
It's Sally Menke, I think.
I'm not sure.
Hi, Sally.
But
we'll correct it in the video. But
when I say his great editing, I mean
the team he hired.
Everything about a Tarantino movie is perfected to the nth degree, and it's very obvious that he has a lot of a say in what goes where and what happens. But he also hires teams of dedicated people who are incredibly good at what they do. So yeah, and my last point, which sort of leads on from that, it feels like every single movie, whether you like it or not, for the most part, feels like a cohesive vision from a singular or collaborative source with his muses, you know.
Oh yeah, they're proper movies.
Everything is the way he wants it to be, and you very much get that impression.
He's one of the last auteurs, I think.
Yeah, and
they're a dying breed.
Yeah, and I think that it's a shame, because if they were all as good as Quentin Tarantino, we'd be laughing.
I was trying to think, I think this is probably the only award I'm going to win here tonight. So I was trying to think, maybe I should just say a whole lot of stuff right here, right now, just get it all in my system. Because I thought about all year long, everything building up and everything, and just blow it all just tonight. Just say everything. But I'm not. Thanks.
Should we get into ranking then?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Full disclosure, we haven't talked about this before. I don't know Georgia's ranking. She doesn't know mine. What we're going to do is Georgia's going to tell us her picks one by one, and I am going to say where they fall in my list. And on screen, here or here, not for the audio listeners, sorry, but we are going to make a list so you can follow along. So if you are an audio listener, why not pop over to the YouTube and we can
check it out.
Enjoy it together. Right, number 10. What is your least favourite Quentin Tarantino movie?
So bottom of my list, and I'm guessing it will be the same for you, is Death Proof.
100%.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof.
Do I frighten you?
So going into the sort of research of this, I have put all of the films in chronological order, got the IMDb, Rotten Tomato and Metascore for them, and sort of ranked them in terms of the highest bracket to the lowest bracket. So this falls at 7 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes of 67%, which is in the lowest bracket for Tarantino movies. Nothing goes into the 50s, but there are a couple of entries. Actually, this might be the only one at 60%, and a 77 Metascore, but that was for Grindhouse combined.
Okay.
So obviously.
Yeah. Plus,
fair lady, your chariot awaits.
Yeah, I mean, there are things that I like about this movie, but it is by far my least favourite.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it in years, and I only seen it a couple times, but we put it on last night. It's the last one we watched, because we were debating even just leaving it out of this ranking and on our rewatches. It's half a film, I guess, if you're considering Grindhouse a full picture.
It's difficult to, I mean, we both very viscerally dislike Planet Terror.
I don't like Robert Rodriguez.
And we were sort of debating leaving it out, but we thought, oh, we'll give it a try. What
do you like about it?
I think the first and third act are good. I like it a lot. The second act is pretty fucking awful.
Yeah.
It's a very horny movie.
It is. I put that under my pros.
It's great.
She's
Again,
really hot, that girl.
Tarantino has a good eye for what's hot. And yeah, there's lots of feet in this movie. But again, it's real women.
Yeah.
Doing real things, you know.
I love Kurt Russell as a bad guy.
He's great.
I think the whole slasher aesthetic and the whole 70s sort of gnarly grind, obviously it's Grindhouse, but his car and everything. I really like that stuff.
And I think the payoff of him like crying and being a little bitch at the end, it is funny. I like it.
Be careful, my right arm's broken.
And it's such a shame that the second act is
it's
as
just
bad
such
as
a
it is.
slog, man. As soon as the first group of girls die, and we cut to Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Rosario Dawson's characters.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's funny, and I don't think it's engaging enough. I find it boring, if anything.
Yeah, I think the contrast between the two halves is far too jarring.
Yeah. It's paced horrifically.
Yeah,
as
with Pulp Fiction, you know, the jumping from timelines, it keeps you engaged and it keeps the flow of the movie. And I think it feels like there's half a movie here.
Yeah. It's very try-hard and gimmicky.
I do like the music in it. I think the music is great.
I guess so. I just don't like the intentionally bad editing and the. I don't like it as a gimmick. I don't
mind it. It's absolutely valid to not.
It just makes me roll my eyes.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But I do like some of the stuff that's in this movie. I like the sort of sweaty southern atmosphere that it has. I think that is great.
I really like that. Yeah, the sort of, it feels like humid. You can feel humidity.
I always very, very much enjoy female Tarantino characters. I actually think for the most part he is very good at writing women. However, the second act, I'm thinking specifically of like the scene when they're in the diner. It's like, I've seen Reservoir Dogs and that's much better than this.
Yeah, it just feels like so trite.
So, Zoe, Kim, and I are in the Philippines at an outdoor rave.
What are you working on? 3 Kicks to the Head, Part 3.
And admittedly, we're a little fucked up.
Cheers to that. Word.
Cheers.
But for the most part, I do think that Tarantino's women characters, they act like Tarantino characters, but they're not trying to be men.
Yeah.
And I think that scene is just to me, it was just a bit like, well, you're just basically redoing Reservoir Dogs and just worse. And I unfortunately think that Mary Elizabeth Winstead is horribly miscast in that movie. I like her a lot, but she doesn't do the quippy.
I don't like how self-referential to his other work it is either. I find that really distracting.
A Big Kahuna
Burger, Red Apple Cigarette.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
The Kill Bill ringtone. There's so much of it where it's like, yeah, dude, you make good movies.
Yeah, it is the self-indulgence.
Yeah, that is what it is. I think it's too self-indulgent. It feels like he's doing too much cocaine.
Yeah, and also, I said about sort of mean-spiritedness. Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character is just like, she's treated like shit, and then they literally just forget about her. The cuts to credits gag is great. I do think that's good, but... Yeah, no, not good.
A rightful last place, I think. I think you'd struggle to find someone who would disagree. Let me know if you're wrong. If you really like Death Proof, then let me know.
I mean, I looked on Letterboxd this morning and
people like
it. I think the first half, I guess it is the first half, really. I was like, oh my god, this might actually rank quite high on my list, and then it just completely drops off in the second half. I said to you this morning, I wonder whether there's a good cut of this and Planet Terror where they just like
get rid of the junk
and make it one slightly longer movie. And
I mean, it's gonna be hard to do that with Planet Terror.
Very hard.
What are you gonna keep? It's fucking garbage, that movie.
Any more? anymore?
No, I think I'm done on Death Proof. I'd rather leave it in the past.
I think going through some of these will have more to say about than others.
Yeah, 100%. And also, these are our opinions. If you disagree, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I think you could put these in any order, and you could make a claim for it on Death Proof.
Yeah, 100%.
I think you could argue your way that any of these are the best. So, yeah, no, just enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
What's your number 9?
So my number 9 is The Hateful Eight.
So is my number 9.
Yeah.
Imagine if we get the exact same ranking all the way through. I think we will.
I don't think we will.
Anyway, number 9, Hateful Eight.
You'd be surprised what a man would do.
It's a weird movie. I remember really, really liking it. Really liking it when I watched it for the first time.
Yeah.
I think this was my 3rd watch, and the first 2 times I really loved it. This time round I did not.
Yeah, so I didn't like this movie the first time I watched it, and I didn't like it now.
Really? No, I loved it at one point.
So IMDb is a 7.8, 74% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 68 Metascore.
This is the Contrarians' Tarantino pick.
Yeah, I agree. And you know how we said that you feel like Death Proof is self-indulgent? The Hateful Eight is a vanity project to me.
Yeah.
And I can't get around that. There are some things that I like a lot about the movie.
What do you like a lot about it?
I think, this goes without saying, it's got great performances.
Yep.
Jennifer Jason Leigh
is... I've noted her down. She's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson, he's so charming in the beginning.
Oh, he becomes like such a prick in that movie.
Yeah. And again, the mean-spiritedness is just, it's not my favourite in a Tarantino movie.
I like the historical setting a lot.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about this later, especially more with the rewriting of history ones, but I think Tarantino does an excellent job at knowing what is cool about history. The Civil War is cool.
Yeah.
Then to add a slice of Americana, I make one a black cavalry officer, and then I make another the son of a rebel renegade, and then I make one a Confederate general, and then I add a bunch of other nefarious characters in there, and then just kind of basically stew the pot and see where it goes.
Like
the fact that the Confederates got fucked up is cool.
Yeah, and the brutality of the weapons that they used, and the sort of, it feels very old worldy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that everything sort of comes together. If you like this movie, like, good for you. It's just not for me.
I think it looks amazing. It's an amazing looking
yeah.
movie, apart from the lighting, which is very distracting.
Yeah, this feels more like a stage play.
Oh, 100%. Oh, that's what I liked about it before.
Yeah, and I don't know if that works.
I do love a high concept Tarantino though, where it's like, 8 scoundrels get caught in a blizzard at haberdasheries.
I said to you while we were watching it, it does a great job of... There's no way that these people are going to want to go outside. So they have no other option.
Well, no, they die if they go outside.
Yeah, exactly. So
they've got no choice.
It does a really great job of forcing any semblance that they're even going to leave this room sort of thing.
I think the twist isn't as good on rewatch. I remember being blown away by the twists.
What is the twist?
That they're there to rescue Jennifer Jason Leigh's character, and Tim Roth is an actual cop. He has the same accent as he does in Reservoir Dogs.
No, I forgot that was even the twist. I hate that.
I quite liked it in the first watch, and Channing Tatum shows up. He's underneath the floorboard.
This is the first movie that I've ever wanted to fuck Channing Tatum. He looks good in this movie.
He does look good in this movie.
I'm not a Channing Tatum girl, but he looks fucking great.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult one because I do like aspects of it.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit boring.
Do you think to me, the sort of best comparison I can give is that it feels like a flanderized like zombie Simpsons, where it's like season 30 of the Simpsons, like occasionally you will get a really good episode, but it just
feels a bit
doesn't
phoned in, doesn't it?
doesn't feel like
Yeah, I think I was tired of Tarantino at this point as well.
Yeah.
A point in his career where it's like, oh, we're still doing this, are we? We're still doing quippy dialogue and race baity situations, and
well, I mean, this goes without saying. We are both very, very big fans of Tarantino and his work. This does not mean he is unproblematic.
No, not at all.
This does not mean that there's lots and lots of things that
I would change.
Yeah,
I can't defend.
the use of the N-word is.
I mean, I think it works in
some films it works
like
better than
Hateful
others.
Eight. I think it's egregious, but yeah, no, the Confederates are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
And in Django, it's obviously you have to.
Mm.
But like when you get to Pulp Fiction and you're casting yourself to say the N-word, it's like, oh, it's funny, but Jesus Christ, mate.
One of the pros that I put for this is that it has no feet in it, and that's a pro because I do not want to see rotten, old
feet.
frostbitten feet.
Yeah.
The Morricone score
is wonderful.
The biggest highlight of this movie.
I think the shooting on 75 looks amazing. The CinemaScope looks so good.
I will say, I think the exterior stuff looks breathtaking.
Yeah.
The interior stuff I don't like as much.
Yeah,
and
it's a shame.
The weird spotlighting.
Yeah, it is a shame because you shoot on those, you get such good scenes, and then you're in a cabin for the rest of it, and it's like, oh,
yeah. I mean, you can't.
It's not very visually engaging, that cabin.
No, I will say, I think that's the biggest flaw of it, where all of the other and it is not that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about the Civil War wasn't flashy.
Yeah.
It's about a cold, desolate landscape.
Yeah.
So it's not that movie. It's just not for me.
Yeah, it feels weird to be so invested in the CinemaScope and we're shooting on 75 just to shoot in a cabin for 2.5 hours of your movie.
I think this was the first movie where I thought there was things that were outright bad in it, and
what?
His voiceover I think is awful. I hate it. Usually I'm not against him putting himself into the movies as long as it's done well.
I quite like it. I can't lie.
But in this movie, it didn't work for me.
I kind of find it a bit charming.
He's
we get back to the cabin.
He's crap at voiceover. I don't know.
Get Sam Jackson to do it.
Get Sam Jackson.
Or get I don't know.
Get Christoph Waltz. I don't know, someone who's an actual actor.
Yeah.
I think the last point that I will say on this movie is one of my favorite things about a Tarantino movie. I didn't include it in the bit because I thought we'd sort of talk about it here. Each of his movies has a real sense of justice, and everyone in the movie has this unsaid sort of respect for death.
Yep.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of... The stakes are always high.
Yeah, and I think, for example, you think about a movie like Kill Bill or Inglourious Bastards or a movie like that where each of these... It goes for any Tarantino movie, but all of these characters have a real... I mean, some of his characters are...
Georgia finish a point challenge.
Some of his characters are intentionally judge, jury, and executioner, right?
Yes.
You know how we spoke about Nick Refn and how he has some of his characters are intentionally and Sam Jackson in Pulp Fiction is obviously the biggest one. But I think all of the characters respect the law of death, and they all have this
very few innocent people die.
Exactly, and no one is afraid of dying, really.
Unless a Reservoir Dogs, in which Tim Roth is the whole movie screaming about how he doesn't want to die.
Exactly, but he is in that movie an anomaly anyway.
Yes,
because spoiler alert, he's the rat. But you know what I mean, in the sense of all of these characters have this respect for life, and I mean, people are disposable.
Yeah,
but the movie has a sense of karmic payoff and justice.
I can agree with that.
We'll get into in much more detail later, but
What is your number 8?
My number 8. Shame it's not The Hateful Eight. Oh, you're gonna hate this. It's Reservoir Dogs.
See, at this point, we should just shut the video off because your opinion is just irrelevant. Oh, no, I said at the start, anyone can have an opinion. Putting Reservoir Dogs. Where's Reservoir Dogs in mine? Mine's 4. So I guess not that high, but 8 for Reservoir Dogs. Damn.
Mr. White, Mr. Blonde, Mr. Pink.
Why am I Mr. Pink?
Who cares what your name is?
Yeah, that's easy for you to say. You're Mr. White. You have a cool sounding name.
Let's go to work.
Right, let's chat a bit about Reservoir Dogs then.
This is completely me.
Yeah.
It has all of the great hallmarks of a Tarantino movie. It's competently shot. The ensemble cast has so much energy. The dialogue is amazing. The Like a Virgin scene is one of my favorite scenes in anything ever. Tim Roth is so hot. It is the most confident and competent debut feature I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. It's just not my preferred movie. And my biggest gripe in it, it's a boy movie. There's no women in it.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to that, but I love female Tarantino characters. And you'll see in my ranking that it is so good.
Yeah.
It's just not my favourite.
Fair enough.
What do you like about it?
What
isn't there to like about it?
It's such a tight script.
It is
the
amazing.
The screenplay is so good.
I mean,
you're so invested in these characters from the get-go. It's really good at characterizing each member of the crew.
Yeah.
Very well, but without feeling exposition. There's no exposition in this movie.
Yeah.
Really. I think Harvey Keitel plays the role just wonderfully.
Want me to shoot this guy?
Shit. You shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
Everyone does. Steve Buscemi, all the conversations in the warehouse between Steve Buscemi and Harvey Keitel while Tim Roth is laying down dying are so good. I think some of the Michael Madsen stuff is corny.
I agree.
I think obviously Stuck in the Middle with You scene is amazing, but just Michael Madsen is annoying. And I don't like him.
That is one of my gripes with The Hateful Eight as well. And
I think every film he's in my cons list.
Yeah, even my higher ranking movies, my gripe is him. I don't think he's very good.
He's not. And I think he's best in Reservoir Dogs.
Yes.
And he's got that swagger about him, and I get it. But when he's a handsome man in that movie. But when you get into the later movies, he looks like a fat, bloated cokehead, no offense.
You ever listen to Kay Billy's Super Sounds of the 70s?
I think with this movie and all Tarantino movies, it is a victim of its own popularity.
Yes.
Because that scene, the Stuck in the Middle with You scene, is just
horrible.
It's horrible,
but
it's
you don't like the
so
mean-spirited stuff, and that is very mean-spirited.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what got him his reputation.
It's not even that. It's just the fact that that scene is so ubiquitous in pop culture.
Yeah, it's been parodied
and it's like for the
100th
time that I've seen it, I'm just like, I don't care.
It's like watching Del Boy fall through the bar again, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think the better Tarantino movies for me are the ones where I can watch something for the 100th time. And it's like the first time I've seen it.
See, I feel that about the opening scene of Reservoir Dogs. I could watch that 100 times.
It is so good.
It's so funny.
You know what this is? It's the world's smallest violin playing just for the waitresses.
You don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to come across as if I'm like shitting on this movie because
very weird you put it this way.
It is excellent. I mean,
it's so stylish.
It has an 8.3 on IMDb and 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So this is behind Pulp Fiction far and away the best
received.
And it has an 81 Metascore.
I again, like I said about Hateful Eight, I love a high concept thing. You know, a robbery goes wrong.
A bank heist goes wrong.
Yeah, and
scene.
There's a rat, and you have to figure out who the rat is.
It is amazing.
See, I love And the twist is great. It's such a good reveal. The ending's great.
Yeah.
Although it is very... It's a victim of how successful it is. Because it feels corny and cliche, but it's like, well... He started it.
Yeah. And I...
100 fucking million film school students tried to rip off that movie for the next 20 years.
Yeah, 100%. And watching these movies back, I'm like, I would watch Reservoir Dogs every day for the rest of my life. Rather than watch half of the shit that gets put out now. I think it is an incredible accomplishment in filmmaking. It's just not my favourite.
My uncle's mate growing up, he was a big Tarantino fan, but he was like a classic film bro, like older millennial film bro.
Yeah.
And I remember him telling me like, oh yeah, my screenplay. He's like, and his screenplay was like, yeah, there's like 5 men wearing suits and they're in a field and they're playing poker. And it ends in like a Mexican standoff. And it's like, oh, where'd you get that idea?
Oh, have you ever seen a Tarantino movie?
He was like obsessed with Tarantino. It was so funny.
Yeah.
But again, there was a million kids like that who were just like, oh, you don't need, I mean, it was in the era of like the 90s blockbuster where it's like, oh, you can make a successful film just with a few actors.
The budget for this movie was $3 million.
There's nothing. And he's got Harvey Keitel in this fucking movie.
And the budget for example, The Hateful Eight was $62 million.
Yeah, bizarre.
Django, I think, was $100 million. That movie was $3 million.
Yeah, it's wild and it's so good. Yeah, that's why it falls for number 4 for me. It's I've seen it too many times.
Yeah,
but it does hold. I really enjoyed this rewatch.
Oh, I
haven't seen it in a few years.
Yeah, I don't want to come across like this is a bad by no extension of the imagination is this a bad movie. I love it. I just like the others a lot more.
Fair enough.
Face! Drop the fucking gun, buddy! Now! Put the gun down! Don't do it! Drop the gun, man! Don't drop the gun! Drop the fucking gun! I'm gonna fucking throw you away!
My number 7 is Kill Bill Volume 2.
That was my number 8.
Your number 8.
Mm-hmm.
I've killed a hell of a lot of people to get to this point. I went on what the movie advertisements refer to as a roaring rampage of revenge.
I don't really like it.
It's a doozy, this one.
I don't like it.
I mean, the biggest con, and we'll just get this out of the way, he almost killed Uma Thurman making it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that ain't good.
Yeah, ain't good.
Considering how, I mean, that I'm not trying to downplay it, but no.
No, yeah.
No. You were meant to be like
collab.
Very good friends with this woman.
Well, who's it? Is it Q and U who it's billed as written by?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. I will say part of the reason I don't like this is that the first half is incredibly mean-spirited. However,
I get these movies so confused.
So
what's the first half of the movie?
What,
when she gets buried alive?
Yes.
Oh, see, I love that shit.
No. You're going underneath the ground tonight. And that's all there is to it.
The reason I like it is because the karmic payoff for it. The first half I was like, I
think it is bad, but it's a new side of the bride you don't see.
No, it is just the fact that it's like, I just don't want to see this character put in this situation because she's had a lot of shit happen to her, this woman. And it just is like the scene of her, like when she's buried alive.
Yeah.
But to be fair, being buried alive is one of those things where I'm like, even in Immaculate, I was like, nah, this is really setting me off. I don't like this at all. However, I do think that the movie, and this is why I do like it a lot, it does such a good job of that happens, and then you see the entire backstory of how she has the tools to get out of this situation.
And that's the shit I don't like at all.
Really?
I hate the kung fu shit. Hate. I think it's gimmicky and I think it's annoying.
I don't like kung fu movies as much as you do, Tarantino. And
no one does.
Yeah, that is the
Feels
biggest.
like a Len Kaczynski movie.
That is the biggest issue with this movie, is that it's so gimmicky and self-indulgent.
And it's just like, it's weird in a way that usually he takes his inspiration and gives it a little 90s modern day twist, postmodern twist. There's nothing postmodern about that Kill Bill shit. It's just shot exactly the same. It's acted the exact same way. The sound cues, the soundtrack.
I like
It's
that.
like a parody. It's like a Family Guy cutaway.
I like it. You don't like the hi-ya.
No, it's
Oh
gimpy.
no, I think it's great.
I mean, it's well done, but it's like, bravo.
It's so goofy. That's why I like it.
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't feel like postmodern at all, which is what I like about Tarantino. Is he takes these old school, classic filmmaking B-movie ideas and puts a refreshing spin on
You
them.
feel like this doesn't.
It's like, I'll just go and watch a kung fu movie.
Yeah, I think for you this doesn't extend past the gimmick.
No, it doesn't at all.
And for
I don't
me,
buy it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
At no point do I buy into the character. For me, it's just a little Family Guy cutaway. It's Mr. Conroy Twitty or whatever. It's
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and it's like, I've got to
Conway
put up with this for
Twitty.
half an hour, have I? And I think it worked. If I love the story, I just hate the execution.
I think David Carradine.
David Carradine, I've got in my good points. I love him.
He is phenomenal
He is.
in this movie, and it's a meme. David Carradine.
Yeah.
He is a meme.
He is.
Unfortunately, and I mean he did earn the meme status.
Yeah, rest in peace, big man.
But I think it shocked us both how good he is
He's
in
really
this movie.
good.
He is amazing.
And also, I think Uma Thurman is 10 times better than she's in the original. Or not the original, Volume 1.
I overreacted.
You overreacted?
I think her acting chops go crazy good in this.
She really, really
Steps it
took
up.
a hard look at herself. Not her. That sounds patronizing, but you know what I mean. She really took it upon herself to make this role work. She is so jacked in this movie,
And she's so charming.
And Beatrix might be one of my favorite characters in anything.
Oh, 100%.
I
She's
think
great.
she is so well written. She is so empathetic, but she also doesn't give a fuck. And I think I feel bad sort of criticizing this movie in the sense that this should stand up as its own film.
Yeah, I wanted to combine the two, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
But Georgia fought very hard to have Kill Bill split into two. But what I do like about it is it's not just more of the same shtick. It's a different movie than Volume 1. Which is why your point I think stands, because it's not the second half of Kill Bill. It's a completely different movie. The vibe is different, the tone is different. It looks completely different.
The two parts are night and day.
Yeah, there's no... What I like about Kill Bill is the saturation and the high, colourful... Yeah, but they don't have this. It's very bleak, this movie.
Freeze, mommy.
Bang, bang. Oh. Oh. She got us, baby. Mom got us. Oh, I'm dying.
I'm dying.
Calm down, sweetheart.
And
It's all very set in nighttime or deserts.
It's a very mature...
I wouldn't go that far.
Mature for, like... It's the maturing of this character, is what I mean.
Yeah, I get
Like,
you.
it's Kill Bill without... I don't want to say without the gimmicks, because this is even more gimmicky
No,
than
but
the
it's
first
without
one,
the original
but-
gimmick.
Exactly. And
They could have just easily done it again.
it's a hero's journey, and every criticism that you have of the movie is absolutely justified, but I quite like it.
And to be fair, I've never even sat down and watched the whole bloody affair, which is like
No.
1 and 2 cut together that Tarantino did. I've never
Mm.
seen that, so I probably couldn't even rank it.
Mm.
But one day I will watch it, because
Yeah, we'll do that and
over one long evening.
Yeah, because it's just hard to combine these two because to me they're so, I don't know. And I also find it funny because I think, the ending of Kill Bill.
Yeah.
The Kill Bill Part 1 and the thing, does she still know her daughter's alive? And it just cuts to credits. Imagine the height, and then they go and see this movie, and it's like a stupid kung fu horror. Like, I respect that. It takes gall to do that.
Yeah, Kill Bill Volume 2. We're getting into the good stuff now.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you put fucking this above Reservoir Dogs. Mental. But go on. So, what is your number 6?
So, my number 6 is Django.
Django Unchained is my number 7.
Okay.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
I am torn as to whether I think Kill Bill Volume 2 is better or worse than this. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't really like Django very much.
I really like Django.
Movies to me are escapism, and I just tend to avoid them.
You're Christoph Waltz's character in this
movie.
You love black people, but you very much struggle to look in the eye what they went through.
Yes, and what I will say about this movie is I'm not black. I don't get to speak on whether or not this is appropriate for Tarantino to do. However, I think that Christoph Waltz's character goes a long fucking way in...
Christoph Waltz's character is odd in this movie. He's a great guy, but yeah, he has white guilt, but it manifests itself weirdly. The fact that he can sit with Leo's character and sort of...
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Django just wants to storm the castle, basically. And I know it's all for the greater good, and he does end up taking a bullet for Django.
I think it's so well done, the fact that Django is used to the horrors of slavery because he has experienced them firsthand. And going into it, you get the sense that Christoph Waltz's character, he says that he's anti-slavery, but he's not seen slavery firsthand.
And he also has that European arrogance of like, oh, what? That anti-America, which obviously it's hard not to be, especially this is set like a few years post-Civil War. Again, I think the historical setting in this is wonderful.
I agree.
But their relationship is so good. Jamie Foxx's portrayal of Django is amazing.
Amazing. I mean, Christoph Waltz won Best Supporting Actor for this movie, and
that's crazy.
It's not hard to... I mean, this got Best Original Screenplay as well.
What, Django?
At the Oscars.
I thought Inglourious was that. Really crazy. It's all right, isn't it? Yeah. I love the fairy tale vibe of it.
The scene where he goes and picks out that fucking outfit and he's dressed like Prince Charming.
Yeah.
And now, Django, you may choose your character's costume.
You was gonna let me pick out my own clothes?
Yeah, but of course.
His name was Ken. He had a horse along the countryside.
And one of the things I was speaking to you about this that I like the most about this movie is the relationship between Brunhilde and Django.
Yes.
They're passionate, they're sexy, they're clearly very in love with each other, and he sort of makes a joke about like, oh, my wife is beautiful sort of thing.
Yeah.
And yes, she is.
Yeah.
There's never... They sort of don't become victim to the infantilizing that we often see with like depictions of slavery. Do you...
Yeah, I sort of agree. Slavery isn't their character.
Yeah,
their character
exactly.
isn't slaves.
Yeah, they
Django
are...
is the antithesis of a slave. Django's a free man. He's a free man.
Django Freeman.
Yeah, well, that's his name, isn't it?
It's so good.
And it's so good. And yeah, I think you mentioned it when we just having a chat after watching it the other day, but the scene where Dr. King and Broomhilda first meet, because Broomhilda again, Christoph Waltz explains that it's a German fairy tale. It's so good. Is her name von Hammersmark?
I can't remember.
Broomhilda von Hammersmark?
Something like that.
And he's like, your black slave wife is named Broomhilda von Hammersmark, and explains how Broomhilda is like a German legend, and how the prince came through and saved her.
Yeah.
And it just plays out completely, having to go walk through hellfire and fight a dragon and things like that. Which I never really got before, but on this rewatch, it sort of ties the story together lovely.
It's a fairy tale.
Hey, little troublemaker.
You silver-tongued devil, you.
People have their issues with this movie, and
I have issues with it.
I don't think I would disagree. The
violence is it lingers. It's such a weird point that it's hard to discuss. And it's the movie Tarantino wanted to make. It's just whether or not. I mean, it's so hard. It's not fun to watch.
No.
The scenes of Broomhilda being tortured and Django begging for her to not be whipped and stuff. It's not fun to watch, but it's not supposed to be fun to watch.
No.
And it's very jarring for a movie that has scenes of the KKK being goofy and goofy outfits, and to have that in, it totally throws you through a fucking loop. I think he intended to do that, so it's not at fault of the movie or the film, because that's what it's intended. It's just a difficult watch, as it should be, because it's about slavery. Again, you sort of find yourself in this paradoxical loop where you keep going over and over.
What's your name?
I'm on a rise right out of the ground.
Django. Then you're exactly the one I'm looking for.
Hey.
Yeah, and for me, I just like I like enjoyable movies.
Yeah, and Django is so fun in parts, but when it doesn't, I think it jolts you back into, whoa, this is a movie about slavery.
I think it does that well.
It does do that well, a little too well, where it's horrible.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, it should be. So
yeah.
I don't know whether that's a pro or a con.
Yeah.
But it does not make for a fun watch.
Yeah, I mean,
But again, it's so cathartic at the end, so.
Yeah, and historical catharsis is one of my favourite things about Tarantino movies, and you'll see my movies that are higher ranked are those
Also,
movies.
Leo's not good on this movie.
No, he isn't. And I am a big Leo fan. I think this is the first movie where I've understood why people don't like Leo. I don't think he's very good in this.
Okay. Yeah, neither do I.
Because I have heard criticisms where people think he's just like always shouting. In this movie, that is what he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and we haven't talked about it, but Jamie Foxx is unbelievably good in this. He is so charming. He has the intensity to pull off the more disturbing scenes.
And he's mannered very well.
Yes.
It's just.
And he's so funny.
He is. I'm just thinking about the scene on the hilltop, which is probably my favourite, of Dr. King and Django just camped out, and he's telling that story about Broomhilda, and you can tell he doesn't.
He has a childlike.
But he doesn't want to patronise Django.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Do you want me to tell it?" But he's not like patronising.
And the way that he sits down and is like, "Please tell me this story," it is like. I know I just said it doesn't infantilize, but you know what I mean? He has that sense of childlike wonder because he is so in love with this woman.
And she is his princess to be rescued.
Exactly.
No, I think it's a great movie. But yeah, it's a bit messy, I guess. And I don't like the KKK scene. I think it's cringe.
Hey, little troublemaker.
Hey, big troublemaker.
When you see me, use a gun, boy. When you see me, use a gun. He's the top of the West. Always cool, he's the best. He keeps alive with his car.